Hey guys, Tammy here. And in this video, I want to talk about when your child custody situation feels hopeless. Now, I touched on this a little bit in a previous episode, but I want to dig into this a little more because I know so many parents end up in this situation and it can feel very overwhelming. And so I am here to give you hopefulness today instead of the hopelessness. Now, let me real quick remind you, if you like these videos, please hit like and also subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. So here's the thing. When you feel hopeless in your child custody situation, you cannot allow yourself to give in to that feeling of hopelessness. And when I talked about this a little bit in the last video, one of the things I said is that your children feel abandoned if you are giving up on them, if you are giving up on the situation and you aren't persevering and following through. So one of the real important things to maintain your relationship is that when you feel hopeless, you do things to help move yourself to hopefulness because, your kids deserve that from you. You're their parent and you're their parent until the day they die or you die, and even beyond. And so you're always going to be their parent and you owe it to them to persevere because even when it's hard, even when it's challenging, even when life's hard, we don't want to model for our kids that, it's just too hard. I'm just going to give up. I don't think any of us want to teach our kids that, right? We want to teach our kids how to be strong and how to persevere in any situation. And so the only way that you can teach them that is by modeling it. Because if you're saying one thing, but you're doing something else, if you're saying, oh, yeah, I'm hopeful, I'm good, but then you aren't following through on your supervised visitation and you aren't, texting them if you have the ability to see how they are, or you aren't getting up and handling your own life and the things that you need to handle, then you're not modeling hopefulness, you're modeling hopelessness. And kids pay attention to what we do. They don't pay attention to what we say. They pay attention to what we do. Let me ask you, what things make you feel hopeful? I know you can say nothing right now, Tammy. Nothing makes me feel hopeful. I'm in such a hopeless state that I just don't have hope around anything. And, I listen to a lot of personal development and all that kind of thing. And one of the things that Tony Robbins, who I love, always talks about is how your physicality and your movement and all those things really impact your ability to deal with these types of negative situations. Because if you start moving your body, even if it's just a walk, even if it's getting up and dancing to your favorite music, if it's whatever, and you got to make yourself do that. If you do that, the actual physical movement will change your body chemistry. It will start to change it. I don't know if you've heard them talk about, the Superman pose or Wonder Woman pose, whatever you want to call it. And there's, this has become kind of a common thing, at least in personal development. I hear a lot of people talk about this. Maybe you guys haven't heard this before, but they say if you put your hands on your hips, it'll do two things. One, and you stand in that pose, I should say, you stand in that pose for, I believe it's 2 minutes. Okay. Put your hands on your hips, stand in that power pose, standing up for 2 minutes. Two things happen. One, your testosterone increases, and this is for men and women. Your testosterone increases, which is where your strength and your kind of vitality and everything comes from. And your cortisol decreases, and cortisol is a stress hormone. So just something as simple as putting your hands on your hips and standing in that power pose for 2 minutes increases your testosterone, decreases your cortisol, which is, again, a stress hormone. So imagine if even just a pose can do that much, how much movement can do. Okay. It will start to change your feeling of hopelessness. The problem is you have to make yourself do that. And that doesn't come from a feeling. That comes from just being disciplined and deciding that that's what you're going to do. I don't feel like doing this, but I'm going to do it. I've been doing this every morning myself personally, getting up and just going for a walk around the block. I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. I want to lay in bed an extra 30 minutes and say, forget it. But when I do that, I always feel better. And so if you can start to recognize and make that connection, okay, I don't like forcing myself to do this, but I do feel better once I do it. Again, I'm going down a rabbit hole a little bit, I think, but using your physicality to help shift you out of the hopelessness. The second thing that you can do is to try to put yourself in your children's situation and view it from their perspective of how they're trying to deal with both parents and trying to understand, how this might feel for them, and using that motivation to drive you to be able to get up and do what you need to do, right? Because I don't know about you, but really there's nothing that'll get me out of bed faster than one of my kids or grandkids needing something. Like true, and I don't mean like, oh, come make me breakfast. I don't mean like that, but I mean like, if your child was, in an accident or at the hospital or had some life crisis or, something really tragic happens, how quick are you up and to? For most of us, nothing would stop us. I'd move mountains. I'd get on airplanes. I'd crawl over broken glass. I'd do whatever I got to do to get to my child if they really truly needed me and were in some kind of crisis like that. And so if you can think about it from their perspective, then that pull, that drive can help to motivate you to keep going even when you feel hopeless. The third thing that we can really do, especially in child custody situations, is educating ourselves. Because so many times I see people who feel hopeless about what to do about their situation because they'll say to me, I don't know what to do. I'm doing all these things, but nothing seems to be working and I don't know what to do. When you don't know what to do, you have to figure it out, right? And I mean, that sounds sort of like, oh yeah, duh, Tammy, I got to figure it out. Great. Thanks for the great tip. But what I mean is you have to educate yourself. You have to read books. You have to, if the first book didn't tell you anything that can help you fix this situation, maybe the second book will, or the third book will. Or if this video doesn't give you the help that you were looking for, maybe the next video or the last video or whatever you can find, and this is a lot of when I work with people on the coaching, like, how do we brainstorm? How do we figure out what needs to be done to start shifting your situation? And if you can just get a little bit of progress, it will help you and start to pull you out of that hopelessness. And then you'll build momentum. Because if you just get one step in the right direction, then each step after that becomes easier and easier, and it happens faster and faster. The most difficult part is getting started. Once you have the momentum, it becomes easier. But, people say, well, I don't know where to start. Well, we're going to start right here. We're going to pick up a book. We're going to do some research. We're going to call an expert. We're going to turn over every rock until we find something that starts to work and starts to help us get out of this predicament that we're in. From each thing that you research or read or listen to or watch or whatever it is, if one thing from that improves your life and improves your children's lives or improves your child custody situation, just one thing out of each resource you tap, and you spent the next month and let's say that you read a book every week, or you listened to a training series every week, or you worked with a coach every week, or whatever your thing is that works for you. You listened to an audio book, you listened to podcast, whatever it was. Let's say that you did one of those things every single week and you got one thing out of each of the things you did each week. Then by the end of the month, you would have 4 new strategies that would help you to deal with your child custody situation, whether that's court, whether that's your ex, whether that's your kid struggling, no matter what it is, you would have 4 new strategies. And do you think if you had 4 strategies that probably at least one of them is bound to work or to help improve the situation? I think it probably would. But we get so stuck in the fact that we feel hopeless and we don't know where to start that we allow that to keep us from getting started at all. And you know what? The first thing you try may not work. The first thing you try might be a total bomb, but you have to keep persevering and keep trying because there is a path through this. If you love your kids and you have the best of intentions and you're a good parent and you're doing what you need to do to make sure that there are no safety concerns, no drugs, no alcohol, you're not abusive, you're stable, you are doing all the things that you need to do on your side, trust me, there's a path through this. You just have to figure out what the next step is in front of you and take the next right step. And then each subsequent step will become easier and will show itself to you faster and faster because you're headed in the right direction. So I hope that restores your hopefulness and gives you some idea of where to start on this journey. If you would like to learn more about my coaching services, please go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. You can book a free strategy session. I'd love to chat with you and help you get started on your path to hopefulness. See you next time.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.